Happy New Year. Well, Eve. But you may be watching this on New Year's, depending on when you click onto my content. It's final day of 2023. And so, thus, my final review of 2023. I'm dropping two reviews on the same day. One is The Creator, and this one is The Holdovers. So, the funny thing about this film is that if I had waited until tomorrow to drop it, then it would be the holdover of 2023. I am not afraid of bad jokes. Click that subscribe button so that you can be a part of them. um, I'm stupid. Anyway, so it was directed by Alexander Payne. It stars Paul Giamatti, uh, Divine Joy Randolph, and Dominic Sessa, and also I should say Carrie Preston, because a lot of people have pretty much only said those three names. It's like there are other people in this film, notably Carrie Preston, I would say, as another name that I recognized immediately. Actually, I recognized her voice, but she's in this too. And it's been getting a lot of awards attention, and good news, it's got audio description on Peacock. Look at that, Peacock coming in clutch. However, Peacock refuses to let me watch credits, and just like I think it was in the middle of like listing the cast at the end of the film, not even like the scroll, but it was, it's like Paul Giamatti, Divine Joy Randolph, and Dominic Sessa, and then it was like Carrie Preston said like three other names, and it was like gone. And I was like, okay, well, we're out. I don't know what it is it's trying to put me into, but I just exited the film. It's always really hard to tell sometimes, because with kids' movies, sometimes it won't do that, and it'll let me, or if it's got something interesting playing through the credits, it'll like, like little, if the minions are dancing throughout the credits, it'll let me watch the credits. So it's hard to tell when they're going to, and I'm always like, okay, come on, Peacock, let's do this. Let's get those credits. No, sadly. Is a raging debate about, is this a Christmas movie or not? Is this a nice warm hug at holiday time? Depends. I think it's an interesting Christmas movie. I get what Alexander Payne is trying to say when he's like, please don't call this a Christmas movie. It's like, but you made a movie at Christmas. It's largely about Christmas. It's about how people feel at Christmas time when things happen a certain way. It's unavoidable. And for people who are looking for more serious things to watch at Christmas time, with a little bit of humor, then I would say that this is it. This isn't your goofy, family friendly Christmas classics. We've already got those. Got plenty of those. Christmas Story, Home Alone, Elf, Polar Express. You just got tons of those. This one feels more like for adults. I think there are probably some adults that don't have kids that are looking for something where it's like, I want some themes that hit me as I get older, and for some reason a kid trapping burglars at his house is not doing it for me. This film is about a prep school academy and a teacher that's been there forever. This film takes place in 1970. If you remember what was happening in 1970, there's just a little bit of a skirmish happening in Southern Asia, and that may or may not have some deep effects on people's choices in this film. And Giamatti plays, he's gruff, but he clearly loves education. He loves books. He loves knowledge. He would absolutely kill on Jeopardy. I mean, this dude would be fierce. He'd be Ken Jennings. I have a feeling this guy, he would lose in the pop culture categories. One day they just make a whole bunch of pop culture categories, and he probably would lose. And that would be how he would get eliminated from Jeopardy. uh, you know, entire category based on boy bands. And you'd be like, well, I don't know anything about that. um, but yeah, he does feel incredibly well read, and that knowledge has become his life. And he wants to try to convey that to his students who seem to be, well, students. I mean, honestly, I didn't see anything in this film where I was like, I don't feel like these kids are any more, any less than what we've seen in every other film or in real life. If you were honest about how you were in school or your friends were, when we see them as sort of like a collection when there are more kids before they become the holdovers and before it becomes Dominic Sessa, when it's everyone, yeah, it just kind of feels like a boys' school. Like this is a fair representation of different personalities um, together in one location, with some people louder than others and some quieter, and everybody has a different reason for being there. They all have different families, and it's it's uh, it's done really well. It's crafted really well, and it's winter break, and it's this is a boarding school, so the parents, you know, a lot of their parents come and they get them for winter break, and send them home. And there are only a couple of kids who are left behind, and they are called the Holdovers. And the guy who is supposed to be in charge of the Holdovers this year decides to tell the dean that he can't. Basically, he lies, um, and becomes a little bit of a gag. And I don't want to ruin it, but and so it ends up going to Paul Giamatti because they know Paul Giamatti has nothing going on with his life. And why not? Why not him? Why can't he do it? Paul Giamatti has worked at this school long enough. It's hilarious. He works for the head of the school is a former student who he was very hard on back in the day. So they have this very odd, contentious relationship where Giamatti's been a fixture of the school forever. But at the same time, now his boss is somebody who was not a great student back in the day, and but works well with the donors. This is, you know, obviously a lot of wealthy kids being sent to prep school. So, um, yeah, it's that kind of a film. There end up being five kids that are left behind, um, and for various reasons, and we kind of get to know them all a little bit better. And then lo and behold, something happens, and they have the opportunity to go have Christmas elsewhere, but they can't get a hold of one of their parents, and that is the character played by Dominic Sessa. So Dominic, as we have learned, he seems to be a very bright boy. First of all, this is Dominic's first film. That will shock you. He is like amazing. I can't even. I think back to all the hype we had about Manchester by the Sea, and a debut performance, and I look at this and I'm like, can we trade? Like Dominic Sessa has so much instant screen presence that he feels like he could be the next anybody. Like you could say Dominic Sessa is the next insert name of incredibly popular, well-regarded actor here. Robert Downey Jr., Mark Ruffalo, anybody. I mean, he just instantly clicks. He always seems like he has wisdom and maturity far beyond his years, and he holds toe-to-toe with Giamatti in every scene that they're in. Um, and he brings a lot of heart and warmth to his character, but he's also such a smartass. It is a great performance from Dominic Sessa. Uh, just amazing. But there's one other holdover, and that's Mary. and that is played by Divine Joy Randolph, who is the manager of the cafeteria. She's the main head. She's head cook. Um, she has nowhere to go this year because not really a spoiler because they kind of tell you pretty early on, but her son was killed in Vietnam. So that is going to hang heavy over the film. This is her first Christmas without her son. And uh, that can probably answer a lot of questions as to why Divine Joy Randolph has won almost every single Best Supporting Actress prize she could possibly win up until this point um, for her role. It's an incredibly affecting performance. I've seen Divine do comedy. I've seen her do drama. I've seen her do a mix of both. She always seems to be a standout. She was a standout in I think the first time I actually truly fell in love with her as a performer was in Hulu's short one season High Fidelity remake, where she was opposite Zoe Kravitz. I thought she was amazing there. Just a standout in that cast. Sort of playing the equivalent of the Jack Black character, I would say, for those who watched the film. Because no one watched the series, which I was canceled after one season. So I'm just going to assume you didn't see it. But she's been in other things along the way as well. She was in On the Come Up, which she actually was really good, but nobody saw that film. I feel she's just been like slowly like flying under the radar for a while. So it's nice to see her get some recognition here, and she is fantastic. It's a strong performance from her as well. These are three people who are firing on all cylinders, and because they're doing so for the whole movie is interesting. I love this from beginning to end. The audio description does a great job of navigating these characters through all of the randomness of their holiday. They have this long span, and it's like, you know, that term cabin fever where you get cooped up, and it's like at first there are a couple other kids there, so it's not as bad, and Giamatti gets to be even more of a dick because he's trying to make them study, because basically they're all failing. And then he gets yelled at for like failing senators' kids and people like that. And he's like, you know, these kids are already like pre-accepted to universities, like Ivies, and they can't get through his class. So he's just trying to get them educated and out there. And it becomes a little bit less about that when he only has one kid, because otherwise it does kind of seem like he's just stalking the kid around. And in the beginning, he kind of tries to do that. And Dominic's like, why are you following me everywhere? It's like he has his own personal tutor for like 2 weeks. He's like, you know, it's like driving him insane. So stuff happens. We learn more about these characters, their pasts, and everybody. This film is heartbreakingly good. This film is so good. Alexander Payne has really outdone himself here. He hasn't made a film this good since Sideways, hands down. Nothing has even come remotely close to it. This actually might be better than Sideways. I need to rewatch Sideways now, but Sideways is easily my favorite Alexander Payne film, although I will give a side shout out to Election. Yes, Election was fantastic as well. But I would immediately put The Holdovers above Election and Tracy Flick, and I thought Reese and Matthew Broderick did great in that film, but Holdovers just immediately, it just packs so many punches. It's hilarious, it's poignant, it has something to say, it's evocative, it's emotional, and it's all at Christmas time, and it is the oddest holiday film that you may watch. It's going to be one of those films where it's like Die Hard, where people watch that at Christmas because they're like, well, it is a Christmas, it takes place at Christmas. It's like, it doesn't really feel like a Christmas movie. There are parts of this that don't really feel like a Christmas movie either. Because like, what am I watching? You know, am I watching just another captain, my captain. You know, is he gonna stay, is Cessa gonna get up on a chair at the end of this film? Um, you don't really know where it's going, and I loved how it ended. It's heartbreaking where it ends, um, and I was angry at certain characters at the end, and I felt so much compassion for these characters and how everything ended. And damn, this is one of the best pictures of the year, easily. And I wish I got more narration credits. If I had to put a finger on it, the thing is, what I would say is the narrator sounded familiar to me. Um, but I don't want to miscredit somebody. But if I had to guess, I would say Claudia Dunn or Tansy Alexander. It felt kind of like the two of them had a baby and produced this narrator. There were aspects sort of that reminded me of both, but with Claudia would be my first guess, and then Tansy would be my second guess. But it kind of feels like it's neither of them, and it's somebody who just has characteristics of both of those narrators. So um, I thought they did a very nice job. The script doesn't, I don't think it breaks any of the rules that I've seen people talk about online where they're like, don't tell me too much information. Of course, I believe that you can't really be told too much information because what I'll counter that on is Alexander Payne. Since we're going to go back to the stylized thing here with the directors I've talked about in some other reviews, he makes some very specific choices here to make this film look like it's from the 70s. The film even opens with an old school MPAA rating at the beginning to let you know what the movie was rated. We used to do that many moons ago. We used to actually remind people that the movie that they're about to watch is rated whatever. It used to pop up on the screen before logos and everything. Now you walk into a theater and you just assume that you've walked into the appropriate movie. There's no warning for people like right at the end, like, oh my God, this was R. You know, I had no idea. Get the kids! Get the kids, let's run! Before anything happens. You know, no, they just, yeah. You could just walk up to the ticket and be like, yeah, like 2 adults and 8 kids to Saw. And they're like, cool. That's gonna be $100. And then and then they just hand you tickets. And maybe you don't know Saws are. Maybe you just go see it. But back in the day they were like, R. This film is R. What are you doing here? So it's got that. I have also heard that he uses a lot to kind of make the film even look a little bit like it's shot from the period. Do you know what I'm saying? Like he makes specific choices to make it look like we've uncovered like a missing 1970s movie. You know, like this film not only does it take place in the 70s, but it sort of looks like it was shot in the 70s. Um, and that's nice as well. Anyway, it's a fantastic film. I could go all day about Paul Giamatti, and I think about Paul Giamatti is he's a fantastic actor, and he is one of the most underrated actors in Hollywood. And I am deeply afraid for his campaign. He was snubbed for Sideways, in one of the most egregious snubs that continuously comes up when anybody makes a list of the biggest snubs of all time. It's not just me. There's like, start watching those videos and you'll find Paul Giamatti is on like every single list. It's because he's amazingly talented, but you know, when he crosses over into TV, he's been on Billions for 7 seasons, just never been nominated for it. So his work is always underrepresented. He has 1 Oscar nomination for supporting actor for Cinderella Man. It's very depressing. I hope he finally gets recognized as a leading actor for this. I would love to even see him win. I've seen another performance this year that I could say the same thing about, so I'm very torn. Uh, this is a very competitive year, and I'm very scared for everybody. um, but it's good because if we can just get the right five and not throw in some like random out of left out of left field thing into the race at the last moment, we could have a really strong top five best actors uh, who really feel like they all deserve to be there. And he's one of them. I don't know. Dominic is going to be so hard to get into supporting actor, but damn, this was a great performance. I don't know who to leave out, but he feels like he needs to be in there. It feels less urgent because it's a breakthrough performance. So I get that. I understand that. I take that information and I absorb it. But uh, we just gave Lucas Hedges a nomination for Manchester by the Sea not that long ago. This really needs to be. I mean, this is. He outdoes Lucas Hedges. I'm sorry. He just does in terms of breakthrough nominations. So um, he deserves one. And of course, the divine Joy Randolph deserves one. Stop calling her Rudolph, by the way. Other YouTubers, it's Randolph. Jesus, it's not Divine Joy Rudolph. Just because it's a Christmas film doesn't mean she like changed her last name to make it thematically match. I've heard way too many. It's very disconcerting. It's a Randolph. Anyway, um, it'll be nice to see her finally get recognized, at least with a nomination. Probably a win, but at least with a nomination. So, uh, Pain. I don't know. You know, the truth is, I there's some stuff about Payne out there, and some people who are going to say and not say some things about him. But do your research. So I'm going to say, make up your own mind about things. I've made mine. I'm at peace with mine, and um, the screenplay here is fantastic. I liked the music choices, but I don't know that I like the score. I think I was just constantly enamored with the actual with the job of like the music supervisor, you know, like the actual coming through and figuring out what songs really fit the mood of the film. So a lot of complimentary pieces were thrown in here. If any of them were original, they should absolutely be nominated because every song I felt like was expertly crafted for this film. Um, and that's probably about it. I don't know. It maybe gets a lone cinematography or an editing nomination along the way. It doesn't feel like a down the line thing. It doesn't feel like it's going to get a lot of down the line nominations, but it could end up in editing, maybe cinematography, depending on how they feel about. You know, every once in a while they do reward films for inner cinematography, for indoor cinematography. It's not just a big expansive outdoor thing where they like to get sweeping westerns in there and stuff like that. It's not designed for movies that look like Killers of the Flower Moon. But yeah, so watch it, please. It's a fantastic film. I'm giving I'm giving The Holdovers my final official review of 2023 an A. It's nice to go out on a high note. Um, anyway, thank you for joining me this year. Please click that subscribe button so that we can continue to talk about audio description in the new year. And I have a website, MacTheMovieGuy.com. You can follow me on X Threads or Instagram at MacTheMovieGuy. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acb.org. It'll let you know what has audio description and where you can watch it. And you can go to the ADNA.org. That's the ADNA.org. It'll let you know who's narrating your favorite films and television series. That's it for me today. I will watch something else, and I will see you guys in the new year. It'll be the new year. Until then.